Hello everybody, my name is Tierra Riddick, and today I am going to present to you a presentation on how technology shifted TV news as we know it today and just how we perceive it. So let's get into it. So first I'm going to start off with the beginning of television. So electronic television first came about on September 7th, 1927 and was designed by 21-year-old inventor Philo Taylor Farnsworth. In high school, Farnsworth had developed a system that could capture moving images in the form that could be coded onto radio waves and then transformed into a picture on the screen. The first image transmitted on his screen was a simple line. Just a simple line, that's it. Another early experiment of the television included a mechanical television system, in which scanned images using a rotating disc with holes arranged in spiral pattern. This was introduced by John Logie Baird and Charles Francis Jenkins, one of the earlier developments in technology for television, you could say. Now, not too long after the invention of the electronic television was introduced, RCA came to be about. Now, this was a company in which dominated the radio business and owned many of networks in the U.S. They invested about $50 million into the electronic television. RCA president at the time, David Sarnoff, otherwise was known as the father of television. Not too long after, he recognized the potential of wireless as a form of broadcasting and wanted to do something about that. He wanted to build on news programs that NBC had implemented on and already developed for radio. So back then, what he wanted to implement on was that NBC had already had, as they said, NBC had news segments for radio, but he wanted to bring those news segments into a visual realm. And by doing that, he implemented 15-minute newscasts, 2 of them at a time a day. So the beginning of television is continued. Sarnoff then predicted that television would be people's main source of entertainment, education, and of course, news. He believed that it would increase the public's view of high culture and enable Americans to attain the highest cultural level of any people in the history of the world. Among television's outstanding contributions, Sarnoff argued what would be its ability to bring news and sporting events to the listener while they are occurring. To my right, we have a video entitled Early TV, The Story of Television. Here you can view just what David Sarnoff's vision was for television and how he got that all developed. Moving on to the first signs of technology within TV news and programming. News programming came to be amongst the first kind of broadcasts that aired during the waning years of the Second World War. So you can say that news became more popular during the Second World War. Many things were happening during that time period. America was going through changes, and of course print was the main source for people. But we're trying to switch that around now and get TV broadcasting in the mix where you can visually see how your news is going and how it's being developed, and you can see what's going on in real time. So with limited technology available to present, the newscast news stations would present their programs in a way that resembled the newsreels that were regularly shown in movie theaters, which was a melange of filmed stories with voiceover narration by off-screen announcers. Newsreels offered TV news producers the most readily applicable model for a visual representation of news. Some of the first people hired to produce news programs were newsreels veterans. Newsreels back in the 40s relied on 35mm film and were expensive and time-consuming to produce, something that was never employed for breaking news. The first signs of technology within TV news and programming continued. As local news stations developed, they offered more than brief summaries of wire service headlines. The expensive film and technology led mostly to but an emphasis on live entertainment programs. It wasn't until the 60s that new and expensive video and microwave technologies made local news gathering feasible economically. So how the expansion of TV technology made an impact on how important news events were televised. Now, TV news was starting to get developed more, and reporters were starting to become more of a thing, and they had to lean on one another to make these events possible to be broadcasted for their wide audience, to see things that were going on around them visually. So TV's first big opportunity opportunity to display its potential came about in 1948 when networks settled in Philadelphia for the political conventions. This event had the potential to reach millions of homes. While watching the political conventions, this brought in passerbyers, people in bars, and within their homes tuning in. The lack of technical difficulties in the experience caused networks to collaborate together to get this newscast up. Networks began to use the same pictures provided by a common pool of cameras to help televise the event. Something that we don't really do nowadays, but it's interesting to know that they did it back then, just to get things going and started. So how technology has impacted the way we view news. Small handheld live television cameras came into play thanks to RCA's infatuation with television. This live television camera could transmit pictures and did not need to be connected by wires. That shortly after came the wireless microphones, which were accompanied by the cameras. Even though print journalists were the common denominator, television reporters allowed for people to see their news in real time. And people really liked that because you didn't really have to read things happening anymore and visualize the stuff. It was happening right in front of you. And that was a change, and it was a positive change, actually. So network television ratings started to skyrocket as live coverage events were being televised. Major events that were shaped by TV technology was, for example, the Kennedy assassination. This put a major focus on TV news coverage. Radio couldn't really show the shooting, so this put a major focus on the news coverage and showcased the power of broadcast television. Then you had Walter Cronkite's shift of public opinion on the Vietnam War. He spoke from his heart, which wasn't very common back then to do opinion reporting on television news instead of sticking to the script. And then you have the space shuttle disaster in 1986. Live coverage of this event wasn't particularly offered just yet, but children were tuning into NASA TV to see the Challenger unfortunately explode. Technological advancements over the years. As television started to develop and people started to become accustomed to it, came the widespread live TV news coverage. Places such as CNN, which came to be about in 1980 and was one of the first television companies that covered news worldwide for 24 hours nonstop. Nowadays, we see more common themes in live coverage news and all-around catered services for viewers. Back then, television news has come a long way. We didn't really have the technologies that we had back then that we do now. So we have, HD cameras. We have audio equipment that's readily available to us. We have wireless mics. We have lighting that we can take. It's mobile. We can take it anywhere. We don't have to share things like the newscasters had to do back in the 40s. Everything is readily available to us. So the technological advancements that we had to be used to back then, we don't have to be anymore because technology just advanced. So technology is impacted as we perceive it. As fast-paced as this world that we live in is today, you can say that the development of technology within TV news since it was first crafted is something pretty amazing. Living in the society that we do, we are able to receive and put our news in different mediums other than television that we didn't deem possible beforehand. So now that technology has advanced, we've come a long way from having to share the same picture with other, TV stations and stuff like that. We're now living in a time where our mediums are different. Our mediums are bigger than just television, really. And we can adapt to that. We get our news through social media. We get our news through the newspaper, on the computer. It's digital now. We have digital news. Our technologies are advancing, and it's just going to get bigger and bigger from here. And that is all I have for you within this presentation, and I hope you liked it, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it gave you an insight on just how technology has actually transformed TV news into what it is today. I hope that was pretty helpful. Bye-bye.